Hi everybody, Bodorka here, and today I'm planning to show you two painting techniques. One is the washback and another is the kitchen salt. So I use these two techniques. The washback on this one I used a lot, and in this painting I used a lot the kitchen salt and also some washback. So these are the two techniques I will teach you today. So basically it will be it's very simple, both of them. uh, Both depend on good timing. That's the key, I think. So when you paint wet on wet especially, but it's not a requirement, it can be dry paper and just paint on it. um, and you have a paint which is kind of not super wet, but it's still enough wet that if you touch it, it cause changes. It requires some experience to find the right moment to use these two techniques. Both techniques require the same timing approximately. If you start to use the technique when it's too wet, it will be just it won't have any effect. It will be just more liquid on the paper, and if it's too dry, the effect cannot work. So here I just made few colors, like color surface to show the how to generate this effect. So the washback theoretically happens when you add water to the painting before it's dry, but after it so you need to wait until it's probably not shiny too much. So in this paper, and I started on a dry paper, it's dry pretty fast, so you reach that point very fast. As you can see, beautiful washback starts to happen where I'm adding the water. Many people refer to this effect as cauliflower. So I don't know if is there any other name. It's many times it's make watercolor painters crazy because they don't want this effect, but it's happening. But you can use it very smart, and it can be beautiful and awesome. And I know many artists who are using this effect very well, very regularly in their work. So I tried to use different kind of dryness on this demonstration. So I add water to like more dry or more wet areas. You need to play this at home with your paper and with your painting. As you can see, some paints don't work like that. So the effect is just not working, like the blue here. The blue is a granulating color. I don't know if this is the reason. It's ultramarine blue. Unfortunately I don't know the physics behind. I tried drier, lighter, and some brand also tend to do this very much, and some brand not. So it's not just color, but also brand dependent. Probably they use different binder. So and now you can see it's too dry. The effect is in many places it's just not happening. It's just too dry. As you can see, I'm putting down the dots and nothing happens. So the timing is really everything about timing here. When you can do this effect on your painting, but it's really worth to play on your piece of watercolor paper. So use your paper and your paint, the good ones, because this is the only way to learn. And a salt is something very similar. It's very similar effect, just in a miniature version. It's generated not by water droplet but by salt crystals. So I put down the 3 color dots, and when it start to dry, I add the salt. I add, for example, just for here to the demonstration, to the very wet area too, and you will see it like it won't get the individual dots, and sometimes it just don't have the effect if it's too wet. If it's too dry, the effect cannot happen. The another important thing, so for the salt you really need to wait. So you see I put it down and it's just starting to happen, but you will see it will develop. So you need to also learn how much salt you want to use and how much you have to wait. The another trick with the salt is binding the water. So when you use the salt technique, your painting dries so much slower. You maybe have to wait almost like a day to until you can remove the salt crystal. I will show this. So now I left a little bit, so I had time and I didn't record, so you can see how strong is that effect with the salt. And it's look dry, but see when I try, it's just not dry everywhere. And this is why you really need to be very careful when you start to like take off the salt. I usually just use my hand, or you can use a rough brush, but be very careful. It's dry very slow and it's look dry, but it's not, and then you just mess up your thing if it's not dry completely at that point. And now I'm just showing few examples. So here I use the salt obviously, and here I use a lot of washbacks under arms and on the back part of the cat. And here I'm showing another huge washback, yeah, it's like a whole half of the paper. And here on the tail you can see many small washbacks to do the fur, and on the side bigger washbacks, but on a tail area on the back it's just small washbacks. And here I just use salt again to generate the fur of the tortoiseshell cat. And now I'm showing you two watercolor artists. They are really awesome, both of them, absolute my favorites. So you can see the first one from Artur Shamovalov. You can see the background, the greens are all one of these technique. I cannot tell exactly which one. And he used this all the time. Check it out, his work always using backwash and probably salt. And this is also from him, so you can see on the water and even on the background on small dots, probably these are all washbacks. And my other big favorite, Andre Penovets, also check him out, absolutely amazing watercolor artist. So you can see both washback and salt on this painting. Washback is probably on the white bird neck and chest area, and also under the tail part. And you can see salt on the dark bird, like front area, the neck and the back on the front area. It's probably salt, of course, I cannot be sure. Check both artists out, both are amazing. You can learn a lot from them. And thank you for watching the video. I hope these two tips will be useful for you in the future.